bought some books. So many books that I may have to split this into 2 book hauls. They do say blondes have more fun. Hi guys, it's Leanne and I am here to do part 1 of my gargantuan September book haul. So as I've talked about a few times already, I attended a booktube man booker vloggers book meetup. Let's not try and say that while drunk. And of course, because it was a bookshop, I had to get books. So while I had the lovely Jen Campbell semi-captive, I purchased a copy of the bookshop book, which I summarily forced her to sign. The second book that I purchased there was kind of a weird one. I'm not that big of a fan of Margaret Atwood. And I have legitimate and valid reasons why we haven't got on in the past. But then Jean was there. And Jean was like, Leanne, read this. So I now own a copy of the Penelope Ad by Margaret Atwood. For those of you who don't know, this is part of the Canongate Myth series and retells the tale of Odysseus from Penelope's point of view. In fairness, as much as I joke, I am genuinely really excited for this one. I really love it when somebody is excited enough about a book to sell it to you even when you're not sure. And also it's a ridiculously stunning book, can we just say. And talking about ridiculously stunning books, the last book that I purchased on that particular bookshop crawl was this copy of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. So anybody who knows me well will tell you that Sense and Sensibility is my favourite Jane Austen. I know that that's a little bit of a controversial opinion because it rarely ranks at the top of anybody's Austen charts, but I love the subtlety of this book and the quiet machinations that are going on in the background, and I really love the juxtaposition between what you want versus what you actually need and what is good for you. It has these gorgeous French flaps. I do not foresee myself picking up any of the other vintage classics editions of Jane Austen, but you never know. If one happens to fall into my hand in a bookshop, I may pick it up. I'm going to preface this part of the video by saying that never before has there been a Man Booker Prize long list or shortlist that I have been so interested in. I usually do follow the prize, but typically I only find 1 or 2 titles out of the lot that I think, yeah, I really want to read that. But this year has been different. So most of you will already have seen my Friday Reads videos where I talked about The Fisherman by Chigozie Obioma, and also A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, but I don't have that one with me. It's actually downstairs on my currently reading shelf. I've talked a little bit about this in my Friday Reads video, so I'll link that below and you can see more on that, but more thoughts in the future. The next book that I got is A Spool of Blue Thread by Anne Tyler. Now this book is not usually something that I would pick up. Anne Tyler is a fairly prolific author, but based solely on the covers of her books alone, I have never been inspired to pick one up and read the summary. So quite simply, A Spool of Blue Thread is a family narrative. The blue thread is symbolic of the unravelling of the history of this family, and I believe that it kind of goes back and forth through time and you get everybody's stories eventually. I've also heard it's very accessible, and by that I mean it's not as literary and perhaps as difficult or highbrow as some of the other books on the long list. But you know what? I don't care. I quite like an easy read in between all of my other literary fiction. I quite like a book sometimes where I don't necessarily have to do a lot of thinking and the author can just spoon feed me a little bit, even if it's a bit like force feeding sometimes. The next book that I picked up was on the long list but did not actually make the short list, and it's Did You Ever Have a Family by Bill Clegg. And the last Man Booker Prize book that I have got is The Year of Runaways by Sanjeev Shota. Shota? Sorry, Sanjeev. And this one's a really pretty one. This book actually explores the topic of immigration. It follows several young people who have immigrated to Britain, all of them from India, I believe, and how they are treated and how they fit in. The immigrant experience has always been really interesting to me, especially right now in this sort of age of immigrant propaganda where it seems that we only have one lens that we view people who have to run away from some of these horrible circumstances. And I feel like I'm kind of duty bound to read novels about that and to explore that experience more so that I am more educated when I am meeting people in my everyday run of life who do come from different backgrounds. Now, the last 3 books for part 1 of my book haul prove that I am a masochist. This is, of course, Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove. Now, while I would like to say that BookTube sold me on Lonesome Dove, that would be a lie. What sold me on Lonesome Dove was my childhood. I grew up and cut my teeth on John Wayne and Errol Flynn films. Most of them were westerns. So Lonesome Dove is the tale of the tiny little town of Lonesome Dove and also of the Hat Creek Cattle Company, I think, who are on a cattle drive across what I believe is Dusty, Texas, and the 2 narratives kind of combine in this extremely long book. I know a lot of people have absolutely fallen in love with this one, and that I really don't need to particularly emphasise how good it's supposed to be. So I will just say, if you like westerns, come and read this with me soon-ish. And the last 2 books in this ridiculously long part 1 haul are these 2 beauties. So first we have Ship of Magic, and secondly we have The Mad Ship, which are books 1 and 2 of the Live Ship Traders series. I am going to say nothing about this series except for read the Farseer trilogy right now so that you can read them. They're that good, oh my god. So if you're still here, well done, but I am by no means done. I am going to go get a cup of tea and then I'm going to film part 2 of this haul, which will be up very shortly. Please link me to any of your September book hauls that I have not already commented on, because I love, love, love to see what you're buying, mostly so that I can eventually buy all of them myself. I'm getting it while the getting's good, because next year's not gonna look like this. See you soon. Bye.